Well, somebody who clearly changed the case for a lot of teams, 3 of them. In fact, he went and won a championship for that, LeBron, and he had a lot to say about he has MVP, 4 MVPs, and had a conversation with Steve Nash on Mind Your Podcast about what is the – help me out. What's the criteria? What are we doing? What is an MVP? Here's what LeBron had to say.
It just changes. It's like, okay, so is it the best player? You know, is it the player that had the best season with his team? You know, maybe that's Offensive Player of the Year. You know, or is it just simply the best player in the league? Like he statistically was the best player of the year league. You know, no matter, you know, obviously you're not going to have a guy in there that's like the team didn't come close to making the playoffs. Right. Well, obviously because if that's the case, then he's not the best player. You know, but
most valuable. Yeah,
it's not the most valuable then. But if it's, I don't know, it just changes. It changes too much.
I completely agree. And it is something that, as somebody who has worked in the national media since 2015, I feel like I sometimes get gaslit by what the conversation is on a yearly basis over how we define who the most valuable player in the NBA is. Because when I broke into the national media, I was told that averaging a triple-double for the 5 seed was what made you the MVP. And the reason why they said, well, Kevin Durant left. And that was the most narrative-based MVP in modern MVP history. And then I felt like we went further down. Like that was like the apex of narrative MVP. And then as a result, we swung back and it was like, now we got to get stats MVP. And we reached the apex of stats MVP when Jokic is averaging 1 million different advanced stats. And he's like, well, if you look at his PER and his Raptor and his WAR and his wins, all of this other stuff is, OPS, he's killing it, right? I'm like, all right.
He might have OPS.
Right,
too.
Exactly. Like, when you look at all of that, he's the best player in the league. It's like, well, I look at his team, they're the 4 seed. You know what I'm saying? What are we doing here? I cannot, look, LeBron, I'm with you when you're right. The offensive player of the year in the NBA it needs to be instituted so badly. I ask you this. Let's say the postseason, from game 1, round 1, I know that feels like 8 years ago now, but round 1, game 1, to game 7 of the NBA Finals, say that was its own season, who would you say was the MVP of that season? The MVP of this postseason. You can pick 2 or 3 if it is easier.
I still think it's SGA.
You still think it's SGA?
It was a boring. We talked about it yesterday, but dude was putting up 30 on the level that only Michael Jordan has done. So, I mean, he was balling out of control. If you ask me who was the most exciting and just what a wild ride, Tyrese Halliburton. But at the end of the day, he had way too many games that he had 14.
But the amount of game-winning shots that he hit in that playoffs with the idea that he's the guy who is the straw that stirs the drink, which I kind of, hand up my bad. I thought a little overblown. Then I watched without him, and I was like, oh, okay, no.
TJ McConnell ain't cutting it.
This is legit. This is real. And because it's really hard to quantify the absence of the absence of something missing. Tyrese Halliburton not turning the ball over, something that's hard to see, once you see all those pick sixes, like, oh, that's what they were talking about. This is what the whole thing is. To me, SGA would have been the offensive player of the year on this team, which to me didn't shoot well from the floor. Their key was the defense. Their key was all of that, right? And Shade was not nearly the best defender on the floor. It competes on the defensive end, but he is benefiting off of the wing defenders that they have out there, the rim protectors that they have, getting out there, making stuff happen on the offensive end. I would have had him be the offensive player of the year in this stretch. And the regular season MVP to me would have been Jokic. Now, the thing is, I know that would give Jokic 4 MVPs. Well, some of these other ones should have been offensive player of the year awards. That's my point.
I get what you're saying.
So, but to me, the most valuable player is not necessarily the guy who's always scoring the most points on the best team. And I think we end up, like you said, narrative changes all the time. Offensive player would be who's the best scorer right now. And I think that's just a much cleaner way to define it. And I think we mix up who's the best scorer and who's the MVP.
To me, it's twofold for me. One, I think The issue is when we universally know the best player is fill in the blank, that person needs to flat out be the MVP. And what I mean by that is there was an 8 to 9, 10-year period with LeBron James. You can maybe even go more. I might be selling him short. Was the best player in the NBA, period. Everybody knew you woke up, LeBron James best player. From probably 1987, 88 to 1998, except for a couple of years, Michael Jordan was the best player in the NBA. So the idea that we then turn around and play and say, ooh, well, Karl Malone, well, Charles Barkley, well, ooh, remember that year? Ooh, Derrick Rose, it's cute what the Bulls are doing. Yeah, he got demolished in the playoffs. I mean, you saw he looked less than going up against a motivated LeBron who was like, let me show y'all how he's not that guy in comparison to me. Point is, we do that too often, in my opinion, where we all know who the best player is. We all, whatever you want to call it, best player MVP, that person is it. And historically, we have not given it to him. And I think a part of that leads to why I think we'll never have a criteria. Because I think people enjoy the idea subconsciously, subliminally, in the back of their mind, Martin, that they can go, well, let's just give it to somebody else. Because otherwise they know for a 10-year period you probably would have gave it to Michael Jordan. For an 8 to 10-year period you would have gave it to LeBron. There's a period where maybe for 5 years you just gave it to Peyton Manning. Like, dude, he's just ain't nobody like Peyton Manning.
Right.
And you might have just gave it to him. So therefore I think people subconsciously don't even know that they do want this because it leads for the fodder, it leads for the conversation, it leads for the sports debates in the barbershops and on radio and on TV. No, is it Jokic? No, is it Shea? No, is it LeBron? No, is it Kobe? Is it this person or this person? Is it Peyton or is it, LaDainian Tomlinson? And I think it leads to that because of the vagueness of it. I think we ultimately want it. We just don't know that we want it. Otherwise, I think people will be bored handing it to Michael Jordan for a decade. Handing it to LeBron, handing it to Peyton Manning, handing it whatever the sport is, handing it to that guy for a 5-6 year period. And I think subconsciously we like that. We like the debate, the fight. Is it about the best player on the best team? No, this guy, James Harden, is doing stuff we've never seen. 35 a game and leading the league in assists and points. And I think we enjoy that more than we actually know that we do. Because I don't think our human nature wants to just give it to. And this is why I sat here for, 2 months, give or take, yelling at Rob. Lamar Jackson is not going to win the MVP. Look at his numbers. He has this. I said, I know you're right. Rob G is my witness, and so are the listeners. I said, people are tired of giving it to him. Yes, the numbers are great. Yes, they're better than last season. Guess what? They're going to say, it's Josh Allen's time. Well, he's the first. No, when the All-Pro comes out. Only one time in however many years did All-Pro get it wrong. I said, all right, well, this could be the year again. They can happen again.
This could be the year.
And Josh Allen wins it. My point was human nature gets fatigued of things. You have to be so self-aware to not do that. And then you know what his argument always like to be? Well, Barry Bonds won it all those times, and Ross said, yeah, it's because they have 2 leagues. If they had one, I guarantee you Barry Bonds would not have won over and over and over.
Right.
It's easy. All right, well, he's the best over there. Somebody will mix it up on the other side. If there was just one MLB MVP, Barry Bonds would not have won it. I think it was, 5 times in a row, whatever it was, because they would have gotten bored with somebody else. Well, all he's doing is hitting home runs, or they would have found some human nature reason to do that. So I think we don't want it to be that simplistic. So therefore, we have different options. We have different people because sometimes in sports, there's somebody who's just that good for that period where we'd have to just keep handing it to him or her every year.
Well, speaking of handing it out, Dallas Mavericks, 9-time All-Star Kyrie Irving declined his $43 million player option and is signing a 3-year, $119 million contract with the Dallas Mavericks with a player option in 2027. Kyrie Irving, congratulations on a torn ACL in your 30s with a player option to go ahead and get, he had 43 coming, so he did quick math by me, bag 80 more over the next 2 years, and you get to choose whether or not you want that 40 in year 3. Hey.
I'm about to start wearing long fur
Lord
rabbit earrings in my ear, whatever he wears.
Hey, salute to his agent, his mother.
Yeah. Shout out to Mom.
Keep that 3% in the family.